Hello, your headlight can get lit for 10 bucks, up to 300. And some of these are bright ideas, others decidedly dim-witted. Simplest upgrade is to add a few Kelvin. This drag specialty's super white shines around 4200K. Beyond that, in theory, the cops could pull you over for being too white. Most halogens, most headlights on the road, are yellower. You'll stand out by comparison. There's an elephant in the room. Brightness. This may be a 10-buck bulb swap, it may be cosmetically refreshing, but it's not really brighter. Fortunately, we can buy drag specialty super whites in a few wattages. A lot of 35-watt bikes can go up to a 55 without torching their wiring, fuses, or reflectors. Some 55-watt guys will even go up to a 100-watt, but that's quite literally playing with fire, especially if your housings are plastic. Besides, the relationship between power and luminous flux is not linear for conventional bulbs. Doubling your watts gets you like 20% brighter. There's a better way. Pia Extreme White Plus, still a 55-watt halogen, but it pumps the equivalent of a 100-watt bulb. Well, how? Clearer quality quartz, expensive aerospace alloy filaments, a secret noble gas mixture. Makes for a $70 bulb, but damn. For a direct stock replacement, that is significantly brighter than stock. One trick when shopping for bulbs is to check the opacity of this blue tint. Most white headlights will be tinged blue to filter out inherent yellow, which is fine, but a higher quality bulb will be naturally whiter and therefore require less blue filter. Since any tint necessarily decreases luminous power, the paler bulb will usually be the brighter one too. So the Pia is superior to the drag specialties, if a little shorter lived. But for $70, we could shine a lot brighter if we're willing to wire up an HID or LED. BikeMaster's HID kit, significantly higher tech for the same price. See these two electrodes? Well, the bubble between them is filled with xenon and some metal salts. When the arc heats that mixture into a plasma, we get a high-intensity discharge. It's supposed to be 3 times brighter than stock. It takes a second for the ballast to heat up, but once it does, I believe it. I mentioned the elephant in the room. This ballast. It turns out you need 250,000 volts to make an arc that big. So we have a box to dam up the battery and then release a voltage waterfall. And once lit, HIDs actually draw less power, so this ballast becomes a nanny. Cool as that is, it's a lot of shit to fit. Somewhere that can't be hot, stretchy, pinchy, or ugly. And if your stock harness won't play nice, you'll need to find room for this relay too. Even in ancient cavernous headlight units, installation's a stretch. The instructions don't help much either. Congratulations! The xenon bulbs you just bought come in 6,000 or 8,000 Kelvin, both of which are pretty damn blue and might be illegal. Most of this just warns that if you attempt to install it by touching it, you will get a sever burn. I presume that's an owie so bad your arm just falls off. Honestly, they waste 1,000 words referencing illustrations that don't exist and repeating that if you aren't totally a motorcycle electrician, then don't do it. It's not actually that difficult, but there is an easier alternative. ODX LED bulbs are the opposite of that mess. All the side dishes, the ballast, the cooling fan, are baked into the bulb itself. Like a grand slamwich, it makes for a seriously fat ass. But as long as you have room for it, or can cut room for it in your headlight, installation is simply choosing the correct fitment and plugging it in. The result is retina risking bright, easily a match for HID, minus the warm-up time and the weird blue color. My LED throws a full spectrum in white light, so everything reflects its natural color. whereas ghostly blue HIDs make the world look like a Tim Burton movie. At $90, this is 12% more expensive than an HID kit, but it'll last 1,200% longer. Halogens live 1,000 hours, HIDs will survive 2,000 since there's no filament to burn out, but LEDs last an immortal 15 to 30,000 hours. These ODXs are actually warranted for the life of your bike because they're betting it will get sold, stolen, crashed, or frozen in an ice age before the bulb quits. One trick for buying LEDs is to choose something with multiple faces. Otherwise, your headlight will end up looking like an American news show, extremely one-sided. See, your motorcycle's reflector is designed for the omnipresent light emission of a halogen bulb, not the more unidirectional LED spray patterns. Even with a multi-faced LED, the beam shape may come out weird at first, so wiggle your spider hand in there and fiddle with the aim until you find a setting that won't blind oncoming drivers. With great 6,000 lumen power comes great responsibility. Finally, if you can't fit an LED bulb in your headlight, or the headlight itself is plain terrible, you could order a whole new unit. Drop-in LED replacements exist for all but the most obscure motorcycles, and rare bike guys would rather replace their eyeballs with Timbits than replace an original headlight anyway. Modern electronics make your dollar feel big again. A gorgeous lamp, bespoke fit to your bike, with a halo of any color, that can, fade, strobe, even underscore my dramatic voice, can be had for the price of a couple bulbs. Thanks, China. This unit. We haven't actually named it, because it's exemplary only in that it's a typical example of the many options out there. Maybe, for information's sake, this is a Kuriak in orbit, happens to fit a lot of cruisers. So, drag specialties, super white. If it's just time to refresh that $10 bulb, this will glow a few extra Kelvin or a few extra watts. Pia, extreme white plus, if more brightness is worth $70 to you, but you suffer from installation phobia. A Xenon HID kit can be wired up for $80, I don't recommend it. A $90 LED bulb is much simpler to make work, and it will pay for its own premium before the bulb burns out, sometime around the same time our sun does. If you can't fit any of these or you actually want a new eyeball, there are the many relatives of the Kuriak in orbit. Thanks. Appendix 1. Converting to HID or LEDs can have strange side effects. In the case of headlights, these ballasts interfere with radio frequencies because science. So, if you listen to radio or use a radio, stick a $2 ferrite coil on the wire to clear up reception. Appendix 2. In the case of indicators, they won't flash, or they'll flash quickly. This is because modern bulbs don't draw enough current to activate your old-ass mechanical flasher, so find an electronic equivalent flasher or else wire an inline resistor to all four indicators to mimic conventional load.